We will move to a question from the audience. This question is for all the candidates, and we'll start with Ms. Gallagher-Shammy. How would you respond to the gang problems?
In responding to the gang problem that is present here in DeKalb and is coming into the other communities that do border DeKalb, such as Sycamore and Sandwich, I will be able to take those gang issues head on. I am coming from the floor of prosecution. I was an assistant state's attorney. I've dealt with gang members. I've sat across the table from a Latin disciple and had a conversation and found out that that's a kid. It's some kid who got involved with the wrong group. So how am I going to deal with the gang problem here in DeKalb? I'm going to go out into the community. I'm going to make sure the state's attorney's office goes into the community, goes into the schools, feels the cracks in the juvenile justice system to make sure that our children have somewhere else to go, know that there's somewhere else to turn other than the gangs. Now, there is a gang problem here in DeKalb. And it does not only affect the juveniles, but that's where we can start, and that's where we have to put a lot of our talent, such as senior, assistant state's attorneys, to deal with them at the juvenile level, but to deal with the situation for the adults. How are we going to deal with it? We're going to tell them we're not putting up with it. We are not going to deal with the gang activity and behaviors that are present in our community. And as a community, as DeKalb County, we have to take a stand. And the state's attorney is going to be the head of that group that takes a stand against all gang members.
When I was in the Cook County State's Attorney's Office, I also prosecuted gang members, both at the individual level and also at the gang organization level. I moved on to the U.S. Attorney's Office in 1987, thinking I was going to prosecute more complex white-collar crimes, and indeed I did do that to a great extent. But one of the cases I got involved in was an undercover investigation of the Vice Lord Nation in the city of Chicago. And we recruited undercover individuals who were cooperating with us. We worked closely with the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Organization, ATF, and we infiltrated the gang, and we took down 35 gang members in an undercover sting that lasted over a year and a half. They were selling drugs, they were selling prostitution, they were selling guns. We were providing for them the opportunity to hang themselves, and that's exactly what they did. Did it eradicate the problem? No. And that's what I'm concerned about in this community. We have to get this nipped in the bud before it gets out of control. I have been an advocate, as I said in my piece in the Chronicle, that this is one of the lurking problems that's about to explode in our county if we don't do something about it now. And as state's attorney, since I was appointed, I have appointed an individual, one of our most senior assistant state's attorneys who worked in DuPage County for an extended period of time as the point person in this battle in working with law enforcement. He has been trained, he is extremely well qualified, an excellent trial attorney, and that is one step that we are taking in the right direction. But there are multiple levels that you have to fight this battle on, and that includes getting education out to the schools, educating parents and citizens about the problem, and making sure that we do everything that we can to defer people from becoming involved in that type of activity to the best we possibly can. In that regard, there is an organization and a committee that had been around for a period of time. It's called the Juvenile Justice Committee. And I am advocating a resurrection of that committee. We have worked with the probation department to have someone full-time that will work with us. And when we get this committee up and running again, we will be studying the issues surrounding gang infiltration into our community. We will be addressing those issues on a comprehensive level from a multidisciplinary background and experience through the probation department, through the courts, through the schools, through social service agencies, and that's how we will attack it on a multi-level.
It's been said that gangs are infiltrating DeKalb County, and I disagree with that. They're already here. As a former corrections officer, I have not only sat across from the table with them, I've eaten with them, been in the same room, locked down with them. And I can tell you this, what I'm seeing in DeKalb County is twofold, because we have certain gangs that, am I allowed to say the name? We have gangs that are only indigenous to DeKalb County. Then you have the gangs that you hear about all over the place. Vice Lords, Gangster Disciples, Four Corner Hustlers. I see the signs. So it's not that they're coming, they're here. So what we need to do now is twofold. Not only do we prosecute those who do break the law in that gang activity, but we have to get involved in a juvenile mediation to get the ones that the gangs are going after. Because one thing I have learned while working in corrections is that the gang member doesn't go after somebody that's 17 or 18. They go after the kids who are under the age of 12 because you can't prosecute them. They are targeting 4th and 5th graders. That's who's committing the crimes for them. So what we need to do is get a juvenile intervention going to work with those young children who are too young to be prosecuted, but also have a juvenile diversion program going that works with the ones that are old enough to be prosecuted. Yes, they are children, and there's different levels of badness, but you have to take that in a complete totality to work with it. We can't sit back and wait till somebody, well, wait, that already happened. Back in March of 2007, we had a indigenous gang, a wannabe gang, come to a gang fight over on 7th Street. Somebody brought a real gun and somebody brought a rubber gun. And the person who pulled the trigger of the real gun was 15 years old. That another young man who was 21 lost his life that night. It's here. It's not coming. It's not sneaking its way in. It's here. So as state's attorney, that will be my top priority, to make sure we revive the juvenile mediation program that we had in place. We put in a juvenile diversion program. It has to be twofold, and it has to be attacked head on, and that's something that I will promise you I would work at getting started right away. No one else needs to lose a life.